Sitting in VIP with a guy I barely know. He kept trying like Aaliyah, so I told him I would go. His pockets were small, but his chain weighed a ton. I called them Biggie Smalls, but no big pun. And then I saw these girls, they were pointing from the bar. Must have seen me pull up in my red Ferrari. I'm like, girl, don't push me cause you missed the mark. Only thing that I push is my push to start. And then I took a shot of vodka. And then I took a puff, I'm not a Rasta. What I look like, girl, I'm not her. She rolled her eyes, then I walked up like, do, 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 do. La, 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 la. Yes, I'm talking to you. If you keep on talking shit, I'ma pull out my do, 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 do. La, 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 la. And your homegirl too. If you keep on talking shit.
Do you need to think about when it comes to fertility?
I think the two most important things are whether you have a normal period or not. If you don't have a normal period, you might not be releasing your eggs, so you might not be ovulating. And the other big thing is to really avoid sexually transmitted diseases, chlamydia, gonorrhea, all the things that you can be exposed to if you're sexually active.
And do they affect fertility?
They can affect fertility because they can block your fallopian tubes.
So that's something important. And in your 20s, should you talk about freezing your eggs? We heard about your eggs are kind of at optimal capacity from your mid to late 20s. So is that something that women who don't have a partner or no partner in sight should be discussing?
I think it depends on your sort of life, your life path. If you see yourself having big blocks of time taken away, for instance, going to medical school was 4 years and doing residency is 3 years. If you see 5 and 6 and 7 years coming beyond 28, I think freezing in the end of the 20s is not a bad idea.
What about when you hit 30? What are some of the things you need to know then?
So in the 30s, it's the same as the 20s. You still need to worry about whether you're having ovulation, whether you're having regular periods, and the sexually transmitted disease issue. But like we heard today, the whole ovarian reserve issue needs to be addressed. So I think it's a good idea to ask your gynecologist to do ovarian reserve testing, which is hormone testing. It's a simple blood test just to see, are your ovaries acting the age that you think you are?
When you're in your 40s and you've yet to have a child, what are some of the things you need to know then?
Well, my personal feeling after being a doctor for 23 years is that any baby born to a woman over the age of 38 is a gift. Our reproductive prime is 16 to 28. And in fact, most women are waiting almost a decade after their reproductive prime. Many women, not most, but many women are waiting beyond their reproductive prime to have their children. And so I think seeing a fertility specialist very quickly, doing anything you can to get pregnant if you're in your 40s. Quite honestly, at the age of 45, almost all women are sterile. So you have to divide the 40s in half. You really only have fertility potential in the first half of your 40s.
Hi, my name is Claudia Tesserine Campbell. And hold on, let me get rid of this. One second. There we go. Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Claudia Tesserine Campbell, and I'm the president and chairperson of the Daughters of Sheba Foundation. I'm wondering if you're hearing me. Let me just turn this up for a second. Okay, there we go. Okay, so thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me this evening, this fine Saturday afternoon. I really should be outside, but I have to talk to this lady. I've been putting it off for a week or two now because I fell ill the first time we were supposed to meet, and I've recovered. I've more or less gotten back my voice. It will come and go. When it goes, I'll ask Mama Jane to take over. So without any further ado, because I don't have more than an hour or so to have a chat with her, let me bring in Mama Jane. Hi, lovely. How are you?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for inviting me here and having this powerful conversation about women's health. I love it. This is my passion.
Absolutely. I've been so excited to meet you. If people would know how long we have been booked to have this conversation, how long in advance we booked to have this conversation. So I am happy that you're here. Finally, and I'm recovered and I can be as facetious or as nice with you as I want to be.
Mama God Jane, has a perfect timing.
Mama Jane, I have her name is Jane Snyder, but she's affectionately called Mama Jane, and I'm an affectionate person, so I'm calling her Mama Jane. So, Mama Jane, before we get into the meat and potatoes of our evening, let me just ask anyone who's coming in to please share this live because it's a very important conversation about women's health. Mama Jane will take us through as much as we can in an hour about women's fertility. And the clip that we show, courtesy of Kate Couric, talks about, the life changes that happens from age 20, 30, 40, and one of the things that it's a bit old, that clip, it's about 10 years old. And in it, they were talking about 40 or 45 being a cutoff. I see women older having kids. And, to be quite honest, I've said to myself, are those babies going to be okay? So we can have that conversation. Anyway, so thank you for being here. But before we go any further, though, let us just humanize you for my viewers, those watching now and those who will be watching later on. We get a lot of people viewing after the show recording. So where are you located? Which state or province or whatever?
So I'm in El Paso, Texas, which is literally right on the border of Mexico. So any news you hear about immigration, border patrol, all of
It's
that
you.
stuff, yes, we can literally walk across the bridge and be in Mexico.
Okay.
And so we are that. If you look at the state of Texas, we're that little triangle part.
Mm-hmm.
So just to give our listeners, our viewers, a perspective of how large Texas is, it takes us less to drive to San Diego, California, than it does to our Texarkana, Texas, which is like the last city before you get out of Texas.
Okay.
So we're
with that kind of proximity, and Texas in itself has a rich food culture. I love to talk about food, Mama Jane. I love to. I am very much into food, although I don't eat a lot in any given moment. But tell me, what are you cooking tomorrow afternoon for Sunday dinner?
Oh, you know what? You were talking about the sunshine. I mean, it's supposed to be in the triple digits tomorrow, but we are planning on grilling steaks because in the summer, I very rarely actually cook in the oven. It's lots of salads and lots of grilling for us. So we like to grill. My husband does that. And then I'll be making, I don't know, probably cucumber tomato salad and I don't know, maybe some pasta or something.
So what time? Yeah. What time is that?
3 o'clock. Come on over.
I need to book a flight, because we too here in Alberta, if I could turn this camera around, you would see that it's bright out. It will be bright here until 9-10 o'clock tonight. And it's not really night. And so we cook pretty late. And most of the cooking is on the grill. Come May, most of our cooking is on the grill. So steak, and that's my favorite salad, cucumber and tomatoes. What kind of dressing do you put on it?
I usually add actually feta cheese, and then I just do kind of a balsamic olive oil because I'm pretty healthy. I mean, I love fresh. I figured out, and this is actually kind of going into our talk about fertility and womanhood, is that the fresher my food, the more pure my food, the better health I can have, the better I can serve my body to, feed the adrenals, feed the cortisol, like keep the cortisol down and, insulin. I mean, all the hormones, right? All the hormones, which is a woman's life.
So Mama Jane, have you lived in this region for all of your life in Texas?
My husband is retired military. So we moved here in 2001. And I have one child. It's funny that clip, because I actually had my last child at 42. Okay. And so he will be 19 next weekend. Okay. And my oldest is 36. Okay. And so, so we were military. My father was military, so I lived all over the world. When we had talked, you had mentioned like your client, your audience is from the Caribbean, Africa. I actually lived in Africa, which my heart is just, so and then my husband was military. We were both military. That's where we met. And then I chose a better career and got out and became a stay-at-home mom. And was
Okay.
always had a side gig, but I homeschooled my kids for 18 years, and then I put them in
Oh, wow.
little ones, put them in public school for 13. So yeah, so I go by Mama Jane because I just say I'm Mama the Mamas. I just Mama everybody. That's who
That's
I
what I
am.
was reading in one of the materials I was looking up on you, and it said you mama everybody. You sound like me. So so let us get down to it. And good afternoon, Karela. Thanks for joining us, our first commenter. What was it, a life experience, or you just woke up one day, or you knew from you were a kid that you wanted to work with women in this field, wellness?
No, it's actually been an interesting journey with the Lord. That's all I can say. So my understanding of women's health began 30 years ago, 31 years ago. Like I said, I have a 36-year-old. We got pregnant right away. And then we had 7 years of infertility. Mm-hmm. So that was the journey where my question to my medical professionals was always, what is wrong with my body? Like, it worked once. Why is it not working now? And my journey came as a spiritual journey as well. I happened to be Catholic, and so I had to understand what the Catholic Church taught about sex, about women's bodies, about marriage, about children. And so I had to actually witness, because that clip was she spoke something very interesting about, Katie kept going and talking about, women freezing their eggs. Like, for me personally, that is a heinous act. And I know that I don't want to offend other people, but
no,
for
that's
me,
fine. Even on the clip itself, in the comments, there were a few people saying that it's a crime.
Yes. And
why
there's so much
act to freeze your eggs?
Well,
I mean, apart from the church teachings.
Well, here, I mean, I can't. The part of it is that the act of sex is twofold: is to give love, and to give life.
Okay.
And when you take the eggs out of a woman and then procreate, obviously the eggs are already out of the woman's body, so therefore the sperm has to be out of the body. You're taking the life-giving and the love-giving and separating the two.
It becomes technical, mechanical.
Yes. And so I'm a fertility educator. That's what I do with my women's wellness coaching. And what I share with people is that it's like driving a car. You have a solid line and you have a dotted line. So those are the two lines. The marital act has to be life-giving and love-giving. There's no speed limit. How many babies we have, how many babies we don't have. But when we go off the rail, if you go off that solid line, if you're driving, you're going to hit the railroad. I mean, the rail, or go down a ditch or something. And if you cross the dotted line, you're going to hit another car. And so when we can stay in that lane, because everything has a purpose, everything has a purpose. I always say this, so a friend of mine gave me this beautiful pot. Mm-hmm. I put pens and stuff in it. It's really for a pot. But this pot, this friend of mine gave this to me. I could use this and take this pot. And I'm going to get a little gross here, but I want to because I want to hear.
Go ahead.
I could take it outside and pick up my dog poop from it, because it would work, right?
Right. And people do it. Yeah.
But that's not the purpose of this. And if my friend came and saw me do that, she would probably be sad. And that's the thing, is that the gift of, we call it our reproductive system because it's life-giving. We are the life bearers. We women are life bearers.
Oh, what do you say to those people? And thank you for joining us, Paulette. I haven't seen Paulette in a while.
Hello, Paulette.
Yeah, I wondered about you. Hope you're doing well. Paulette is a faithful supporter of the Daughters of Sheba Foundation.
Beautiful.
But what do you say? So we're right into it.
Yes. I told you, sir. We only have an hour, girlfriend.
What do you say to the woman who won her beloved husband is terminal, and they haven't had a child, or they want to have another child, by him, so they decide to do that, to go that route. What about the woman who?
Wait, let me stop that one. Let me
Okay.
stop for that.
Okay.
So the first premise is children are not a right, they're a gift. We don't have the right to demand a child. It's not like my new iWatch. I don't throw my new watch and get the new, iPhone 11 or iWatch 11.
So let me see if I'm getting you. You are saying that because my husband is terminal, and by the way, I'm a widow, so I can do that analogy. Because my husband is terminal, I shouldn't think that I have a right to have a child. If that's if that's the will of God, that I'm not to have a child because my husband is terminal, I'm to accept that. Hard as it may be.
So here's what I know, because this is what I do in my profession, is I teach women how to track their cycles. When the woman that doctor had said, you need to make sure that you're ovulating, your eggs are actually releasing. And so I teach women their natural body signs to know when they're fertile and when they're infertile. And what I know is scientifically, it takes one egg and one sperm to create a new life.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when we look at the chart, even though, and this was what my case happened, we were following the pregnancy protocol, and yet it wasn't working. And this is where my faith came in, because it's like, this is the will of God. And thanks, my husband has a very deep, and I would, yes, I understand. Like I said, 7 years, every 12 months.
Every single night you tried. I'm kidding.
And well, and and then there's all these, this is where I became a Catholic mindset coach, because then you go down and spin. I'm not enough. Why is God punishing me? Why can't I have another baby? Why can't I have and going back to that analogy, well, I'm just going to do it this way. And that's where the infertile industry goes off the rail, because the infertile industry says, I'm going to get you a baby no matter what. No matter what. Now, let me ask you a question, Claudette.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a man who was out of work and he had children and they hadn't eaten in days, would it be right for him to rob a bank to get the money to go buy his food?
Oh, why you do that to me?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that's the analogy, right? Like, my husband.
I don't know if it would be right for him to go rob a bank, but I would understand.
That's right. That's the problem, is that we understand, we have the compassion, and yet there is a moral good and evil. It's why we going back to the traffic, it's why we have stop signs.
So you haven't really answered my question. My question is, terminally ill husband, and I just want us to have that child. Why shouldn't they? I'm not saying that they should accept their faith.
No. What I'm saying is that the means the ends don't justify the means. And that's the problem.
But they can't have a child.
But you don't know that. Okay, so this is the other aspect of it.
Okay.
Is that you really don't know. And this is where, like I said, I look at charts. I had a client who, because of some illnesses, they had to take one of her fallopian tubes, and they had to close it. She had an infection. So she was, even though she was ovulating on that side, there was no place to go. And so she had already had 3 miscarriages. And I always tell my infertile clients, because this is who comes to me as someone who wants to have a baby. I always tell them, I'm not God. I will help you with the protocols, but I'm not God. And yet this woman and her husband were able to conceive a child. And then the beauty of it is after that child, she finished, being my client. And 2 years later, she contacted me. She goes, I got pregnant again. So the problem is that the whole concept is we are becoming like gods. We are deciding when I have a child, when I don't have a child, how this child is going to be created, and going further. I don't want this child, so therefore I can throw this child away and I can destroy it.
Why did God give us this knowledge, this ability to do these things if we're not to use them to better the race?
I absolutely understand that. I absolutely understand this. Unfortunately, there's evil in the world. Why did God give Hitler capability to kill 6 million Jews? I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't, his ways are not our ways. Isaiah 55. His thoughts are as high as the heaven as our thoughts. So that's what I'm saying is that there's this fine line of understanding the science and honoring God with our bodies and trusting
so Khalid
him.
Is saying we were given free will.
Yes, absolutely. We are given free will, and we can choose to do good or we can choose to do evil. But part of it is that we don't even understand that there's these lines, and we get down into the ditch, like this woman has talked about with the infertility. Then we don't even know how we got down to the ditch.
But what about the school of thought, particularly men? And right now it has escalated where it seems as if, not seems, in many places, and we're not going into the abortion issue, but the repeal abortion, so forth, because women aren't being encouraged, forced, coerced, all of those words, to have babies, even when they cannot.
So here's,
or they should.
I'm going to go back to the first domino of this whole thing, because it's a big ball. I mean, it is so, there's just so many strings, and there's such a big, huge ball of yarn here. But the first domino is when, and I know I may offend people because I'm going to speak.
Nobody's offended. We're going to have we must have enough.
I love you all. No. I love.
No, listen, say whatever you need to say.
No.
We over here, we are open to all sides.
Perfect.
As long as you're open to ours.
Yes. No, absolutely. Okay. No, I love it. I love encountering and debating. So here's the thing. We are in a contraceptive society, and the whole premise of contraception is I need to suppress my reproductive system.
Okay.
You would never do that if you had a healthy heart. I need to suppress my heartbeat because it's not good.
But what about the young girls?
Wait. Okay. Because here's the thing. This is what I teach. What I teach is your body is good and holy. And just like a baby has to be taught their signs of going pee and poo so that they can get out of diapers and then they know when to go to the toilet, a woman can be taught her natural signs in her body so that she knows when she's fertile and when she's infertile. What this does, it gives us the power of free will. Your listener said we have free will. Now we have true free will. Am I open to a baby or am I not open to a baby? And the other thing is that when you have a partner that honors your body, honors your reproductive system, and is in line with you and saying together, at this moment, it wouldn't be really beneficial for us to be open to a baby. Therefore, what do? We choose not to embrace each other. We choose to develop our relationship in another way. And the relationship actually deepens because we're not depending on the sexual act to verify that if I have sex,
We love each other.
my relationship is good. Now we're saying this, and it's your own free will, and it's his own free will. It's not one manipulating the other. And psychologically, really what we're saying is, I love you, husband, but I don't love your fertility. It would be like, I love you, but I want you to go get a nose job.
But what about the?
I know it's a
There's
thought that we have.
What about?
Yes,
what about?
yes.
And I think that we might be, what I might be hearing from you, tell me if I'm wrong, are teachings from a time that we have long evolved from.
I would argue that what happened is, and in 1965, the pill was started to be on the market. In 1968, Paul VI wrote he wrote it 1968. He wrote this document, and basically the premise was, if we become a contraceptive society, here's what's going to happen. And 4 things that he said. Number 1, women will be more degraded. Now, I don't know if you would agree with me, but from 1965 to 2024, would you not agree that porn is up, prostitution is up, sex trafficking is up, divorce is up?
But I don't know that has to do with the contraceptive.
It has everything to do with it
because
of the mindset. Because of the mindset. Because if I can throw away my fertility, then I can throw away anything else.
But why is it that less than half of, or sometimes some people say half of the population should tell the other half what to do with their bodies?
No, but they're not. But I'm not. That's what I'm saying is, nobody's telling me what to do with my body. Nobody's telling me what to do with my body.
Because
I'm listening to my own body. Just like I'm listening to when my stomach is telling me I'm hungry, just when my bowels are telling me I have to go to the bathroom. I'm listening to my body. I'm seeing the signs. And now me and my partner get to make a choice in freedom. Are we open to a child at this moment? This is the time to be fertile, just like a farmer planting the seed in the ground. There are certain times of a farmer plants his seeds, and then the other times, if he plants the seed, it's not going to grow, right? So I'm not saying don't have sex. I'm saying you and your partner get to say together, are we open to life? Do we understand that right now, if we have sex, there's a possibility for us to make a child? We call it love making because literally you make love and 9 months later you get to name that love. That's why it's love making and life making.
I get it, but let us go back to the woman who wasn't able to have a child before they found out that the husband's terminally ill, and your teaching is saying that they shouldn't freeze the eggs and the sperm.
Yeah. Well, here's
want
the
to have a baby.
I understand, and this is where women's health has gone incredibly wrong.
Okay.
Women's health has not helped us at all. Like I said, and I'm a witness to it.
In what
because
way do you see
because
that?
Here, wait, let me just because for 7 years I asked the community, what is wrong with my body? And their answer was, let's do IVF.
Okay.
They didn't answer the question, why was my body not working? Claudette, 3 years later, I figured out on my own I was low thyroid.
Okay.
Which meant that my body wasn't working. I have PCOS.
What's that?
It's called polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's a insulin disorder. There's insulin disorder. So my body was creating eggs, but they weren't always releasing.
I totally agree with you that women's health is not working,
And that's
and the
because if
management
you,
of women's health. But I think we're coming it from a different perspective.
well, here's the thing is that this is what I know, again, as a fertility educator. 99% of doctors of OBGYNs in the medical schools are only taught contraceptive concepts. They're taught when they hear fertility awareness or natural family planning, and I have heard this from a number of doctors. They say when we go to medical school and we go through the OBGYN stuff, the first thing they say was, what do you call someone who practices natural family planning? And they say, and we were sitting there like, I don't know. And the professor goes, parents, ha ha ha, because they don't trust their own body. They don't trust the body of a woman. And I'm so passionate about this because this is where our power has been taken away from us. You want to talk about women's power? Get understanding your fertility.
No, I totally agree with you. You're talking to the right person when it comes to women's power. But I think it goes both ways, that we have power to say, I want to have a baby or I don't want to have a baby. And I'm not leaving it up to chance.
No. I'm not saying it to leave it up to chance. I'm saying follow the protocols. I'm saying let's not introduce medicine to suppress our fertility. And I would suggest to you, I would submit to you the rest of that story of a woman who wanted more babies but couldn't. Why hasn't the medical community helped her cycle? Because, like, what was the problem? And did we know, did you know, Claudette, that for every year that you take the pill, your cervix gets older for every 2 years?
I wouldn't disbelieve you.
So a woman who is on the pill for 10 years, now let's think about this. The average woman gets on the pill at least by 18 because they're going to college. And now they're 28, and because now we're getting married later and things because we want to get so for 10 years she has been on the pill. Her cervix is not 28. Her cervix is actually 48, which is why she can't conceive. And that's what I'm saying. Go back to the first domino. There's no goodness of contraception. It breaks it again. It breaks the harmony of a couple.
I understand that, but not everybody wants to have a child.
And you don't have to. Listen, let me tell you, I teach Billings ovulation, but this is so fascinating. Like, I could go on. So, Dr. John and Lynn Billings, and they were in Australia. And I know you've heard, you have a lot of followers in the Pacific area. First of all, Dr. Lynn was able to teach fisherwomen in Fiji in water 8 hours a day, fishing, how to recognize their cycle while their body, like from the waist down, is in the ocean. So it's every single woman. This is my premise. Every single woman should know this about her body. It's just like every single woman should know how to take her heart rate.
I want people watching us, those watching us, to chime in and give their take.
Yes, please. I know.
I love this conversation because on the one hand, I'm hearing the contraceptives are bad, and we have all heard that, particularly from faith groups. I'm not going to say just Catholic because it isn't. Contraceptions are bad, but at the same time, we hear teenage pregnancy. We hear single mother. The same church talk about single mothers because they. And I'm sure your response. I think part of your response is going to be, if we were teaching them how to with their bodies, blah 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 blah. And I don't mean blah blah blah, but all of those things.
No, and it is. It's right. I mean, like, I have to start somewhere. And I do. I teach a lot of young women, like in their college years, and I'm telling you, when young women hear this, that my body is good and holy, and I have power, and I can choose and understand how my body's working, and therefore I can do different things based on my cycle, that my cycle is not bad, that I shouldn't be dreading my menstruation, that menstruation is a good and holy thing, that it is showing me that my body's healthy. That is a complete 180 from what we are told.
No, I totally agree with that. You know,
And this is why I'm so passionate. But going back to your other thing about having babies, you know, here's the misnomer that you're not jumping to.
Okay.
Is that just because you're not what we've been told, and this is, I'm so happy that you're saying this, because this is what the world has told us about contraception. If you're not on contraception, then you're going to get pregnant any day of the week. You're going to have any babies. No. What I'm saying is that there's fertile time and there's infertile time. And what I was going to tell you is Dr. John and Lynn Billings, they started studying women's bodies, estrogen and progesterone, in 1953. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it's called the Billings ovulation method is because it was so scientific. The World Health Organization, they just wanted to call it ovulation method. And they said, no, you guys have discovered how to monitor this. But what they did
when I was a young girl, we called it the rhythm cycle.
No, it's not rhythm, but this is the other thing. It's not rhythm. Okay. Because rhythm is looking back at your last cycle and predicting when you're going to ovulate this cycle.
Right. So what is this then?
This takes every single day. You make observations, and it's, so I'm going to get graphic here.
That's fine. No, go right ahead.
Because we're going to get into
it. Get Facebook to block this live.
Yes, no.
It's fine. The conversation.
It's fine. So a woman, basically what I teach a woman is how to make the observation, we call it observation, the sensation at the vulva. So most women don't even know what the vulva is, which is the beginning of it. The second is
down there.
Yeah. So how do you make this observation? And so what I teach them is they simply make an observation, just like you're making an observation. Am I hungry or am I not hungry? Do I have any signs of fertility or do I not have any signs of fertility? And then you simply track it. You simply put it on a chart. You know, this is the sign. This was the observation today. This was the observation today. This was the observation today. And so you have menstruation. Your cervix is open. The blood is, releasing. Mm-hmm. Then your cervix is closed. This is the natural infertile time. You cannot get pregnant during this time. Mm-hmm. Then something changes and the cervix starts to open. What changes is that estrogen starts to rise. The eggs are starting to develop, and then the estrogen peaks and the egg releases. Mm-hmm. That's ovulation. Ovulation is the sign of health. It's the 5th vital sign of a woman's body. When you go to a doctor, what do? The nurse does. You say you're sick. They take your temperature, they take your weight, they take your heart, and they take your blood pressure. If you're not ovulating, you are going to have health issues later in life. And this is the other part about contraception is when contraception was first instituted, a woman wouldn't have a menstruation and they freaked out. And so they lessened the hormones. It's not a true menstruation, it's a bleed, because what contraception does, it suppresses the ovulation. It's pressing down on your creative side. But creation is so powerful that about once every, one cycle, about 12 months, an egg is released. And I always challenge women, go do your own research. Ask how many women got pregnant while they were on the pill. Because it doesn't always work, because creation is, and they don't know that they're ovulating because they don't know those signs. But how much better would it be if a woman understood her signs and she could understand, this is my fertile cycle. Am I open to receiving a baby, having sex and having sperm, or am I not? That's the power of a woman's choice.
Mm-hmm. So you support in situations like that, if I'm not willing to have a child, my partner and I, that he uses a condom?
What I say is, again, that's going off the railroad. Because
it's important, because
no.
Here's not to take the pill.
No, here's what I'm saying.
You abstain during that period?
Yes, that's exactly right. You abstain. You have free will. You have self-control. This is what separates us
So why can't
from
they use
adults.
a condom?
Because what you're doing is you're saying, I love you, except I don't love your fertility. I love everything about you, but I don't love your sperm.
Isn't
No,
that a bit extreme?
well, here's the thing. It is extreme because true love is total. It's total 100%. It's faithful and it's fruitful. And the fruit of abstaining love is a way to show our love in non-sexual
Do you know how many
ways.
children have been conceived simply because of that? They were not able to abstain.
And that is true. And that is one of those challenges. And I will say it is a hard road. That's exactly right. And this is why I am a disciple of Jesus Christ. He said heaven is a narrow gate. The wide gate is to have a contraception, to have sex as much as you want, to go have sex with 10 a different guy every single night.
Oh, no.
Because
or a different gal every single night.
Exactly. Because it's denying who we are. God created us to be
so it took me 40 minutes to to say that you are strictly along your faith direction when it comes to fertility, contraception, conceiving a child, etc., etc., etc.
Mainly
sex.
not just faith, but because I understand the goodness. I have seen, my husband and I have been married 38 years. We've seen we've been witnesses, and we know other families that when they practice this methodology, their marriages get richer. This is when I first
was introduced. Catholic women I know who have 5-6 kids and they are in agony. I did. This is something that's not everybody knows about me, but I went to seminary, Catholic University. I did theology at a Catholic university, and I had sisters there, meaning women, friends, fellow students, and so many of them had 5 kids and they were in distress.
And I would ask them, what was the stress? And it is difficult. I have 5 children. And if you had met me, even 10 years ago, I would. So find other ways to pleasure each other. Is that what you mean? What I mean is, here's what I mean. We use an acronym SPICE.
Let me write that down.
Yes, SPICE. Thank you, Colleen. I really appreciate your question. Spiritual, physical, intellectual, creative, and emotional. So when you take sex out off the table, who are you in this relationship? That's the biggest question. Can you have a relationship without sex? See, that's the premise. That's the whole premise of contraception. You can't have a relationship without sex, and sex creates babies. So let's give you this pill, or let's give you this condom so you don't have the baby, because that's the consequence. That's the purpose of reproductive. Instead of, you are such an amazing person and let me get to know you. We're not having sex, Claudette. I mean, even though we're not, but what I'm saying is like the concept that sex can't, like, it's the same as fasting, right? Like, I don't always eat 24 hours a day. It doesn't mean that, fasting doesn't mean you have to not eat for 30 days. It means that there's a period to eat and there's a period not to eat.
But men will tell you that they need sex more frequently than women.
And that is actually a lie. I have actually, I actually
break up that lie for me, please.
I actually have a lot of friends who've said, because actually this is the other myth. I have many friends who've said, I have a higher libido than my husband. I want sex more than he does. The other part of it is that we always think it's the man that can't abstain. It's actually the woman who has the yearnings, because her whole body is getting ready to make a baby.
Mhm.
Her egg is about to ovulate. Like,
But
think
for
of,
some reason, as soon as you tell a man, no,
well,
he's the
here's
conversation goes to, well, I
and
might get a side chick.
and here's the thing, and this is why I teach couples this method together,
Okay.
because it only works when both of them are on the same page. And yes, I absolutely agree. That is the disorder. Now, just because that disorder, again, the ends don't justify the means. Just because we don't know how to, let me
Control.
think of enough. No, just because we don't know how to write properly means that we should take writing out of education.
They have.
I know,
They have.
but I know, and that's what I'm saying is that you see where it goes. Do you see where it goes? And so this is the thing: is that yes, is there a possibility? And yes, we've actually had this conversation on my pod. Well, my co-host and I, and some of the women are like, how do you, if your partner is not 100% on in this, and then that is a struggle. And I will admit it, that is a struggle, because he wants his cake and eat it too. He's like a toddler having a temper tantrum because you're not giving him the lollipop.
Yep.
And that's on him. That's his self-control. That's his character. His character. This is building the inside. Self-control is a great gift. You wouldn't expect anyone, you wouldn't say to anyone, well, I can't control myself to take a gun and shoot everybody. I can't control myself. I'm just going to shoot everybody. I mean, that's what I'm saying, is like the logic is not, if you take the same logic in a different situation, it's illogical. And here's the other thing, is that when a woman knows her body, especially the method that I use, because she's so in tune to her body. I mean, how many times do we go to exercise and get to know your core? Well, where is your core? Your core is right where your ovaries and your uterus are. Right. In reality, it's so beautiful when you know that when you're coming together, that, now again, you can come together during the infertile times. That's what I teach. There's actually 2 infertile times during your cycle. Your cycle has 4 phases. And that's the other part, that there's only this small little part of infertility, fertility phase. It only lasts maybe 4 or 5 days. If you can't have, you have to have sex. You can't not have sex for 4 to 5 days. You know what I'm saying?
I'm showing your websites for.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah. And so, like I said, I mean, this is where the mindset is. This is why I became a life coach as well, because it's all in our thoughts. You're just sharing with me all of these thoughts that you've been told, or all of these extreme examples to try to justify what you've been told. And this is what I'm saying is, like, if you look into the research, I challenge all of your audience to look into the research. There's an article, I forget when it was. It was, I want to say 2018, 2017, before COVID. I want to say it's in Canada. They started finding 2 disformed fish in the lakes, in the rivers. And when they started testing the water, this is one of the side effects of contraception, they noticed estrogen. See, most pills are estrogen laden to suppress your own estrogen. I mean, if I told you, I'm going to give you this drug so that we're going to suppress your healthy hormones, to me, I'm sorry, that is an offense. You're going to suppress
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yes. So our podcast is called Cycles and Sanctity. And it's all about, well, these are all of the different, if you go to Spotify or something, but it's all about a woman using her cycle as a tool towards her holiness, to understand. See, this is the problem, is that we have been told from millennial that we're not good enough. And contraception is just one more way of telling us that we're not good enough. Our bodies are not good, so we have to suppress it.
You know, Mama Jane, we have spoken. We have not touched so many issues here.
I know.
This piece has been so interesting, you know, because I don't know about anyone else, but I, for one, you know, like I said, I went to a Catholic university for seminary, and so I was exposed to the teachings of the faith, the Catholic faith. So what you're saying is not surprising to me, but what was happening between you and I is that I'm pushing back as I did.
Yes, no, I love it. I love it. And just a little fun fact about Catholic University.
Yeah.
When Paul VI wrote that document, Humanae Vitae, back in 1968,
yeah.
There were 4 professors from Catholic University that absolutely objected to it and taught the actual opposite. And it wasn't until St. John Paul II became Pope in 85 that he made all Catholic professors sign a document that they would adhere to the Catholic faith because it was against the Catholic teaching, and they got around it. So they had 2 whole generations for 20 years. They were teaching, well, you don't really have to follow this. You don't really have to follow this. Instead of saying, wait a minute, why is this good?
Current Pope.
Yeah. And the current Pope said, I mean, he understands this as well. And here's the thing is that we have to, so this is going back, like, do you believe that there is a God, number one? And do you believe that he created all things? And when he created them, they were good. Therefore, a woman's body is good. Her reproductive system is good. It's good for her.
I don't think
whether she has babies or not, it's a good thing. It's good to ovulate. It's good to menstruate. And that's where Cycles and Sanctity started from.
And I think the struggle or challenge or the pushback that I have is that I'm hearing contradictions. You know, on the one hand, you're saying my body's good, my body's wonderful, you know, but I don't have authority over it.
No. I have authority over it. I absolutely have authority over it. I don't have authority over creation.
Isn't my body the vessel for creation?
It is. What I'm saying is that this is why we're called co-creators.
Mm-hmm.
We follow the protocol. Like I said, my husband and I had chart after chart after chart. Why didn't we get pregnant? Why didn't we get pregnant? Why didn't we get pregnant? And part of it is the fact that my husband would always say, well, God just doesn't want us to have a baby yet. But it was also, there was macro or micronutrients that my body was missing. And that was the key. Again, that's what the medical community wasn't answering for me. Why wasn't my body, their answer was, well, let's just give you a baby this way, instead of help me to make my body healthy.
But what if, okay, so let us say you were wrong. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say
you were wrong and you really needed that intervention. Would you have refused it?
I did refuse it. I refused it a number of times. As a matter of fact, part of our protocol was to check my husband's sperm. Okay, and the method that they do it is they put him in a bathroom with a girl magazine and expect him to ejaculate. And I said, no, he's not going to ejaculate. He's not going to ejaculate by himself. I'm not allowing his seed to be spilled. He's going to bring it to me, and then you're going to test it within me. Like I said, I understand this so deeply. I am a radical, and that's exactly what they said. They were like, what? We've never tested it this way, because I understood the spiritual aspect of it more importantly. That's where my deep, I understand that there's an eternal life, that there is a God who created all things. And I don't want to dishonor him. I understand that there's a purpose of things. And even though the method, even though the desire to acquire and to understand, the method wasn't correct. And that's what I'm saying, is that I'm not saying don't, have as many babies as possible. I'm not saying that. And this is what the church teaches, is that we're not saying have as many babies. We're saying you and your partner need to come together. Imagine this conversation instead of a conversation like, oh crap, look what I just saw, a pregnancy test. I wasn't planning on that.
I remember a conversation with one of those women, married with 5 kids, and she did not want to have a 6th. And she just felt trapped. She really felt trapped. And she was, at the time, maybe 35, if that. And she just did not want to have another child. And she felt trapped.
And so what did she choose to do?
She felt trapped. If for all I know, she has 7 kids now, for all I know.
Well, here's the thing I know is that, again, this is going back to the relationship. And this is where the disorder comes. Am I understanding that this is a serious reason my wife cannot cope? My wife needs a break. So I, as the husband, am willing to sacrifice my desire, my needs for her needs. This is true love.
So are you saying that he should abstain from wanting sex?
No, I'm saying he can abstain for those times during the
when
fertile
she's
time.
Okay.
And see, and let me tell you, Claudia, I'm not against sex. I tell women and I tell couples because here's the thing, is that once you've ovulated, you have 2 weeks, you have 11 to 16 days. That's called the luteal phase. You've already ovulated. This is the honeymoon period. Go have, and I tell women, go have sex as much as you want. Go pretend you're on your honeymoon. Go have it in the car. Go have it hanging on the chandeliers, whatever you want. Celebrate. Just like fasting, how much time?
Just don't use contraception, not condoms, not what, because of the damage that they do to your body, and the condoms you feel is an unnatural intervention.
Because of what it does to the relationship. It breaks the relationship. It's a lie. I'm saying I love you, but I'm not loving you because I'm not giving my whole self to you. How can I love you? Or I'm rejecting you because I'm rejecting your reproductive system. I'm rejecting the very life of you. The sperm, and the sperm is the seed. And are we willing to receive it? Or are we willing to say, no, this is the part that I'm not going to share with you? And that's where, and then we become like gods. I want it. I don't want children, so I'm going to have contraception. And now I want children, and now I can't have children, so I'm going to demand the industry to give me my child. This is the fault.
This has been a fascinating conversation, and
I know.
we still haven't touched on menopause. There's so much we haven't touched on, and our hour is almost up. And but so Colleen again is saying to you, but condom has more than one purpose.
I would love to hear that one, more than one.
But I think she mean for diseases. That's the first one.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. If you understand your beautiful fertility and your beautiful body, why wouldn't you want to wait for your perfect spouse? And if you've waited, then there's no way. And if same thing, if he has this understanding, then the likelihood of getting a disease is very, my husband and I we've been married 38 years.
Mama Jane, your husband and you are living back in the 38 years ago.
Well,
talking about 2024 with all due respect.
Well,
men cheat, women cheat too.
But let me ask you a question: are we better off in 2024?
I'm not saying
it's not a
judgment call. It's not a judgment call. It's just a statement of fact.
No, but what I'm saying is,
women cheat. So, as Colleen says, a condom have other purposes. Has at least one more purpose.
And so the condom allows the man to cheat, and that's exactly what Paul VI said in Humanae Vitae. Is if we become a contraceptive. This is an interesting fact, real quick.
Yeah.
Between 1968 and 1978, divorce doubled. Because now contraception was introduced, and now we can have extramarital affairs. I don't really care about you. The woman is not honored.
What about evolution of society? What about evolution of thinking? What about evolution of thought?
I understand that. I understand that.
And there's no perfect spouse, really. Some people just get lucky, like you.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting thought, that you get lucky.
Well, we're talking about the
yeah. I understand. No, and I understand. I'm not saying it's a perfect world. I'm saying that this is the goodness of God, the way He originally created us.
Hi, Deborah. First time coming. Saying, what about self-control?
And that is the gift of natural family planning, is because you do get to practice self-control. How much more powerful do you feel when you've decided that I'm not going to eat that chocolate any day of the week? I'm going to wait until Sunday.
You should have talked to me last week when I was eating that big bar. And I felt horrible.
I know. And,
no, listen, don't get me wrong, Deborah. Don't get me wrong. My dear Mama Jane, I do agree with you about self-control. I disagree with you about the effects of the widespread effects of, and Deborah is now saying also discipline, the widespread effects on marriages and all of that. I see that there, in everything, there is a positive and a negative, and I see some positives to contraceptive, particularly for the younger ones. No?
What it does
is you remember that campaign, Just Say No to Drugs? How good did that work?
No, it didn't. And now we have fentanyl and but here's the thing, because it was a punishment. It wasn't, you are so good. You're so good. Do you understand the gift that you're giving?
You're saying it's a messaging.
It's the messaging. And this is why I'm saying is that's why my message is, your body is so good. I can't tell you, and going back to the menopause thing, one of the reasons why I really focus on midlife is that we weren't told a lot of this. Like, women don't know how to love themselves. Women.
But you're going to come back soon. And we're going to talk about that, because that
would be great. Well, I'm going to tell you, you just hit a nail when you like that part of fertility. Because like I said, I mean, we could go on which is why I have a podcast, because all of this there's just so much to it. There's so much to it. And, it just, I just see the goodness in God's wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
God would not, because I know the Father, and I trust the Father, and I know that Father has everything good for me, and He wouldn't ever ask me to do something that's not for my good. Just like I tell my children, don't go out after midnight, because bad things happen after midnight. Don't go down that dark alley. I don't want you going down that dark alley, because there's a robber. Don't go to this neighborhood. That's the thing that's Holy Mother Church only gives good things. That's why I go Mama, because I want to give you the best. I want to give you the best knowledge and the best information, because I want you to be the best person that you can be. And I know that when women can be the best and understand their body, they're incredible. I would love to introduce you to all my girlfriends that are like, I am powerful because I know my fertility.
No, I felt when I was, it might have been about 8 or so, or younger even. I keep talking about this. My mom gave me this book called something of a woman. Oh my God, how can I forget? Unbecoming a Woman. I think every young girl in Jamaica at the time, back in the early 70s, got that book. Mm-hmm. And to me, it was the most freeing moment for me to understand my body, how my body worked, and so forth. Yes. So, people thought, and I'm nothing if I'm not transparent. people thought that, I would be one of the first one to get pregnant, because it seemed as if I was this out there girl. I was into politics from a very young age. I was on soapbox since I was
Girl,
7
I
years
love
of
you.
age.
Thank you
So
so much.
so everybody thought I was going to be the one to get pregnant. I never had a child until I was 25, married, and all of that, or 26 or something. So for me, information is power. And as a matter of fact, this month here at the Daughters of Sheba Foundation, our theme for this month is knowledge. That knowledge is power. And so I totally agree with you that knowing these things, but I also believe in choice. I also believe give people the information, package it well, message it well, and then allow people to make their choice. I don't think we can dictate to people to use or not to use a condom, or
I would agree with you in the fact that knowledge is power. And this is one of the things that Dr. Lynn Billings said, is that every woman has a right to know about her body and understand what her body is doing.
Yep.
And by suppressing our body through contraception, we don't know our body. And that's why I'm so passionate about contraception, because women are suppressing the very power, their very essence of their power. And then they wonder why they have, I've just done the research on psychological, emotional, physical, relationship, the whole nine. And that's why I go back to understanding your cycle. Your cycle is the beginning of everything. It shapes you. That's why you have breasts. That's why you have white hips. But we don't honor it.
We don't honor it, and we're going to get BBLs.
And we don't
get cosmetic surgery. And
that's right. And we don't know how to harness it. That's what I teach women. I teach women how to harness their power. So thank you Mama so Jane, much.
This was wonderful. We have to come back to have this conversation, folks. You can go to Mama Jane's website. It's Wisdom Wellness. You're seeing it on the screen, I hope. Yeah. It's wisdomwellnesscoaching.net. You can subscribe to her website. You can even get coaching. You said you do virtual coaching, right?
Yes, that's all it is virtual coaching. Right. I just love being everywhere. And like I said, any woman, and it doesn't have to be about fertility. It could be about other issues. I have a number of clients that are postmenopausal, right. That don't have a cycle. But because of my own infertility, like I said, that is a very hard cross to bear. And I have a number of women. I have a client right now that is still struggling, and there's some issues, like health issues. And so, how do you bear that wound that you may never be pregnant?
You still haven't answered that question for me about that woman with the terminal ill husband. We will do it next time. Because this evening so far we have focused more on this part of your business, what you do, natural fertility coaching. I want us to regroup and go to this part, how to survive menopause.
Yes.
Is this your book? Yes, this is your book. 7 tips to survive menopause.
Where is my ebook?
It's an ebook. Okay.
Ebook. Yeah. So they can just download it. It's a free ebook.
Oh, so if I click on this link here, access now, it will. Okay. So I'm going to download it, and we're going to come again and have that conversation.
Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I love you. I love this conference. I love women having conversations like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it too. On our platform, on our Facebook platform, I posted something and everybody was having a good time with it, and somebody introduced racism in it. And while I am open to any conversation, it just took the attention away from the real issue.
Yes.
I try to say kindly, can we please refocus on the main issue? This platform is for women coming together and having conversations. They might be tough. Yes, racism is one of the conversations, but this particular post is not about racism. Let us not find something that's not there. You know, let us just have conversation, just like you and I are having. You, a staunch Catholic woman, me, a crazy liberal woman. But I find that the older I get a little bit more conservative, to be quite honest. And and I don't think it's conservative. I get a bit more understanding.
Yes.
With
More
age.
mercy and compassion.
Yes.
That's
yes.
what it is.
And that's what we like to do here, to have conversations, compassionate, intellectual discourse, and respectful discourse.
Yes,
So I
absolutely.
really appreciated you coming on this evening, this Saturday evening, and I look forward to us continuing the conversation and discussing getting ready to thrive in menopause.
Yes.
So I'm going to download the book, have a read, and I will be in touch with you to see when we can do this again. Thank
Perfect.
you
This is
so
great.
much, everybody, for joining us this evening. Thank you, Mama Jane. This was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I have a practice of not going beyond an hour and 15 minutes. I think after that, it's just gibberish.
Yes.
So,
yes.
and this is too, I have to go digest. And I'm going to rewatch this, and I'm going to come back at you with more questions, because you still haven't answered my question about that woman who wants to have a baby with her terminally ill husband.
Yes.
So
yes.
should she
No.
just shut up and accept her fate, or get that sperm
Ah.
Thank
All right.
you.
God bless
Thank
you and take
God bless
care.
you
And
too.
thank you,
And-
everyone, for listening. And I'm so
Oh, yes.
honored to be here. Really, it was a pleasure and it was a true honor.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And thank you for following our platform. As of this morning, we are now at 21,000 followers. And I just love it, love it, love it, love it. We're coming. This has been our 4th year. And we struggled for years with 3K, and just in less than 3 months, 6 months, without paying 1 cent, just having good content, we have grown to 21K followers as of about 2 hours ago. So thank you so much. And it's because people like yourself, Mama Jane, who come here and guide us and have conversations with us. Even though we disagree on certain topics, we find common ground. Thank you again for being here.
Right.
Thank you, everybody. I'll be in touch. Thank you, everybody. Bye.